Hello, everyone, and welcome to another round of the Misfits Racing League. It is, of course, Season 2, round number 7, and we are racing today in Brazil. It is, of course, the Brazilian Grand Prix. And joining me today, as always, my good friend and commentator, Mr. Mikau. How are you doing today, Mikau?
I'm doing pretty well. Uh, Hopefully you can see as intense of a race as we have seen the last few rounds this season. It should be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely looking forward to it as well. And Brazil, a very fast circuit, 2 DRS zones. What do you think we're going to see today? Do you think it's going to be a wheel-to-wheel scorcher the whole way through, or do you think we'll see a little bit of gaps form throughout the circuit?
I mean, it all depends on how these drivers can cope with the very technical sector too. There's a lot of blind corners, blind apexes, and some of the corners, specifically, say turn 8 and turns 10, for example, come at you a lot quicker than you expect. So that might catch some drivers out, but other than that,
Yeah, very
yeah,
good.
we should see a lot of close wheel to wheel action.
For sure. I'm super looking forward to it. Now, looking at the calendar, we are on round number 7. As you can see on screen, Brazil is the action happening today. Next week, we have Germany, followed by Britain, and then Italy. And then we move into the second addition to our calendar, where we have another 7 races, and we will see our drivers go through Belgium, Hungary, Bahrain, Azerbaijan, Australia, Mexico, and to round off the championship for the season, they will face off in Suzuka. Now, to take a look at the teams that are going to be lining up on the grid today, I do believe most of our full-time drivers are here, so we aren't going to have too many reserves. Zamajo and Rackety take up the seats over at Ferrari, Skybits and Vettel in the Haas. Skybits making his return to the grid today. Falcon 9 and Hawning drive for Renault. Fubar Custom take up Mercedes. Samus and Undertaker in the Alphas. Sneaky and Jasco over at Red Bull. Neon Rays and Henry over at Williams. Yoda and John in the McLarens. BTFU and Waitis, who I do believe will not be here, Mr. Waitis, in the Toro Rosso. So BTFU will have a reserve driving with him. I do believe that is Mr. Astrodite, Bear Gaming, and Tupaka round off the grid at Racing Point. Now, the super exciting part, the standings. So after 6 rounds here of MRL action so far, we have Zamajo at the top of the standings with 107 points. Yoda 80 points, BTFU 55 points. So it's very interesting to note here in the top 3. So Yoda last week taking the race win in Russia from the back of the grid. Fantastic drive for him. Gets the race win. BTFU not having such a good performance, unfortunately finished 10th. So only 1 point. So it's a 24-point difference right now in that race alone. And you can see Yoda there is a full race win ahead of BTFU in the standings right now. However, Falcon 9, Sneaky, Samus, Vettel, and Henry pretty well the whole way down the standings. It's a very competitive fight, as you can see there. Sneaky in 5th, Samus 6th, Vettel 7th, Henry 8th, Fubar in 9th, and Jasco to round off the top 10. You have Neon Rays, Tupaka, Undertaker, Little Bear, and Skybits. Skybits hopefully able to increase his lead in the standings today as he's returned to his car. Rackety in 16th, Custom 17th, John 18th, and Waitis 19th, with Hawning, who has yet to score some points here. Although, one thing to note, Hawning has only driven 1 race so far this season. And it was in Russia, and he was against some of these drivers who have been racing for the entirety of the season so far. So, no harm done there. Hopefully, we'll see a good performance from him today. Of course, the constructor standings after round 6, Ferrari still out in front with 129 points. McLaren 82 points. And in third, you have the Red Bulls with 80 points. Renault, 59 points in fourth. Toro Rosso, 56 points. Racing Point, 48. Alfa Romeo, 43 points. Haas, 42 points. Mercedes has crawled out of the back there. They're still near the back of the standings, but they are no longer in 10th position. They moved up into 9th after the last round of racing. And that is going to round off the standings as we are now just about to get ready to go here in the race.
The thing is that the field is so tightly matched, and it's like such a tight midfield pack that anyone on their day can challenge for a podium.
I love that too. It's so exciting to see when these drivers just, you forget about them because you look at these standings, but at the end of the day, all of them are very competitive and they can come out pretty well anywhere up and down the grid. So super exciting that we're going to get to see these guys face off in Brazil right now. Brazil, I think it's going to be a good one, and I'd really like to see, as always, Mikal, some weather-affected racing.
I'm sure the drivers are against you on that one,
Of
but
course, of course. But, it would be really, really interesting to see that as we now jump on over to the lobby screen. Something that we should, of course, always talk about is a safety car and what that may do to this race.
it definitely is a possibility.
Jumping into the short qualifying. Keep in mind, guys, the race is 50% distance, and it is a short qualifying session, so these drivers will have 18 minutes to get their setups loaded, select their optimal fuel, and get out and set the best laps they can to get themselves onto a solid grid position.
We shouldn't be seeing too many dramas unless the gods up above descendeth upon the Sao Paulo circuit. It looks a bit overcast,
I wonder
but
if
it
we will
doesn't look
get
like
that
there's
weather
any
dynamic.
raindrops.
Let's see if anyone's able to give us a weather report there.
I have, and it's just been told it's dry for both of them.
So it's an all-dry session for these drivers here for the Brazilian Grand Prix. Looking to see who's going to be first out of the pits here.
We should be seeing everyone going out on the soft tires. Isn't really much of a reason to go out on the mediums or the hards,
So it's going to be
since
custom.
tire wear not really an issue at the circuit. Custom will lead them out.
Custom coming off of a very good performance yesterday evening in the PPR Racing League, finishing third here, or not here, I should say. He finished third in a nice weather-affected race in Silverstone, so hopefully the momentum from that will be enough to carry him through for another solid finish here, as he's yet to really score a solid haul of points over the season.
He has gotten very close, especially last round in Russia. I believe he was running third for the majority of the race and then got tangled with Rackety.
It was
A
looking
few
like
laps
it was
from the
going to
end.
be a massive haul of points for Mercedes last week. I see Honning and John suffering some issues there. Hopefully they're able to get back in order to set a qualification time.
Well, that's right on
now.
board with Custom as he starts his flying lap. 50-meter board down to the turn one. High on the brakes, second gear. Keeps it well within the limits through the center S. Carries a decent amount of speed. Down the second DRS straight, heading into turn 4. Carries the speed nice and well. Very tidy lap from Custom so far, but let's see how he goes in the technical sector. In sector 2. Opposite keep it in 5th, down to second gear. Now through the long left-hander. Runs a little bit wide. It hasn't compromised him too much. Now from this last corner, it's all about getting a good exit up the hill for the long main straight. Gets a bit on the curb. He gets a decent exit nonetheless. DRS open, just trying to carry as much speed as you can towards the line. And it's going to be a 109.1 as the first lap on the board. And then Falcon goes and sets an 8.4. Cool.
Henry now across the line as well in the Williams, a 108.7. Vettel in the Haas, a 108.9. We have Undertaker in the Alpha crossing the line with a 109.4. I do believe that is going to be Jasko crossing the line next. Oh, sneaky maybe. Oh, I've completely confused myself.
Samus has just gone second.
So Samus into third, actually, as Zamajo in the Ferrari crosses the line, our current championship leader, with a 108.1. Welcome to all of the viewers joining us right now. Thank you everyone for the follows. We hope you enjoy the show. As with some of these times that we've already seen set here in qualifying, things are looking quite spicy ahead of the race.
Definitely in for a treat if the times remain this close. Hopefully we'll see it break into the 107s. I'm sure there's more time in Samajo's lap.
BTFU setting that 109.2 on mediums.
Oh, and Neon Racers are spun
I do
all
believe
the way
that was
across the grass at
BTFU
turn
just
10.
past him there, yeah. So Neon Rays having a bit of an issue on those hards. He's slowly making his way back onto the circuit, and that's Skybits behind him off in the grass. I think he may just be waiting for traffic to clear up. Skybits, a couple weeks off now from MRLs, back in his seat at Haas.
And Neon Racers into the grass again.
Definitely feeling the temperature on those tires. Skybits now getting ready to start his first flyer of the session. Jump on board with him, see how he's been after a few weeks away. Of course, Rackety in 12th right there, setting a 114.8 on the soft compound tires. He's currently in 12th. He is most definitely going to want to improve on that time if he is due to catch up with the rest of the grid. Sneaky 11th there with a 109.9. Aphrodite rounds off the back of the grid in 10th with a 109.7.
In a very clean lap from Skybit so far. Probably not carrying enough speed, but he's managing to keep it within the limits. He's now approaching Sneaky, who gets out of the way very nicely. Through the final corner now. The final proper corner. To the flat out sector 3. Let's see, what's he going to post? It's going to be a 110.1. So that would have been 13.
As we have both Mercedes exiting the pits now. Custom and Fubar heading out. Hawning currently on an outlap and getting things set up. He'll be looking to start his first time. Vettel, I do believe, had a crash of his PC, so we'll hope to see him get back in here in a moment. Hawning now making his way through the Senna S here, down into the first DRS zone of the lap.
Hard on the brakes for turn 4, runs a bit wide. Would cost him some time. He carries on. Up the hill in sector 2. Very hard to spot the braking zone for some of these corners.
Carries so much speed up to that slow right-hander.
And by the time you see it, it's too late if you haven't started to slow down already.
Bit of a snap of oversteer there. Does what he can to get it under control.
Doesn't look like he's lost too much time. He gets a solid exit out of the final quarter. DRS open as he approaches the start-finish line. It's going to be a 110.8. So I'm sure he'll be looking to improve on that lap.
Now somebody just jumped into the middle of the grid there. Not quite sure who it was. Who's currently running behind him? I think Little Bear in the Racing Point, or was it Tupaka? Tupaka came into 6th position, a 108.9. Looking very, very quick in that car for sure, as he's now on an in lap. Custom looks like he's on a flyer, currently in 8th. He was the first driver to set a time here in the session. We'll go back on board with him now to see what he's been able to do to improve.
Oh, he carries so much more speed through that last corner now. So this should be a reasonable improvement. Keeps it nice and tight across the line.
He
And
improved by a tenth.
So you're currently in 9th with a 109.040.
BTFU now. Getting ready to cross the line as he makes his way down the pit straight. He jumps into 7th, taking 0.381 off of his previous time. Zamajo.
Very, very close grid.
Zamajo improved his previous pole position time by what I do believe was only a 10th, as he is currently on top with a 108 flat. Fubar in the Mercedes, I do believe he is about to set another time here, as he's now rounding the final corner, crossing that sector 3, but he's currently 6 seconds up, or down I should say, so I don't know if we'll see him finish out this lap, and we don't. So he's gonna move down into the pits now.
Jean also moved up to 4th on his last run. Very, very tight. If you look at Samus, Jean, and Fubar, all separated by less than 100th of a second.
Oh, and that's Samus.
Spin.
Big spin. He's off into the wall there. He's going to try and get it out of the wall. Very tough spot to be in. He's going to have to reset the track there. I do not believe anybody was coming his way when he did it. So he was biding his time, waiting until things were safe. Not too sure if he got pushed off there. I don't believe so. We had Jean and Yoda in close proximity here. As you can see, Yoda out in front of Jean here. I would have suggested they switch positions earlier in the lap. If Yoda's about to start a flyer, he can get a very nice tow off of the rear of his teammate here. But we'll go on board with him as he sends it down into turn 1 in the McLaren. He's currently in 6th, looking to improve.
His current time of 108.71. And he's matched his first sector. But it's this sector, sector 2, where you can make up all the time. It's always the technical bits, the technical section of the track that you can definitely see a lot of time gain, especially as the track rumbles in during the session.
Ooh, and that's a big mistake there as he goes wide.
Yeah, a bit of a moment there.
Hopefully he's able to, we'll see. It looks like he's continuing on the lap here. He's down a second right now, so I don't believe we'll see Yoda finish this lap, as he's hugging the inside very tight there. I believe we'll see him into the pits, and we do. Henry now in the Williams. I do believe he is in an in-lap as well.
I'm just looking at Zamajo.
Oh, he's going again.
Zamajo is also on a flying lap, currently going through turn 5, turn 6. Just very slow right hand, and he's backed out of it, it seems.
Don't believe we have an invalidation there. He just may have not liked that exit, as he's slowing it right down now. We'll see if he flips back up the power to start again, but I think we may see him into the pits here, as he's very slow, keeping that inside line. Definitely jumping back into the pits is our provisional pole sitter, Mr. Zamaggio in the Ferrari. Rackety has improved his time. He's a 109.1. 18 out of our 20 drivers are at the sub 110s. As you can see, Sneaky, a 109.5 there, is the last of the 18 drivers to get into the 109 range. Skybits.
1 millisecond behind his teammate.
That is also extremely true. Extremely tight gap between Jasko and Sneaky.
Hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be seeing a lot of action on track in these final few minutes of qualifying as the track has rubbed it in. And it's all good to go. Meanwhile, Sneaky is 4.5 tenths up going through Sector 2, so looking to break into the 108s, which aligns with the top 10, and then he gets a 109 dead.
Wow.
109.000.
That's a lot of zeros.
So that's good enough for P11 at the moment.
Skybits improves, but not enough. However, he does jump into the 109s. A 109.9 the time. He retires from session on track. Hopefully his car far enough along here that it's not going to impact this flyer that Hawning has just started, and you can see Skybits off to the side there, so it did not impact the driver behind him, although I don't recommend doing that on a regular basis, Skybits, if you are tuning in. On board with Hawning now, the only driver yet to jump below 110. Hopefully he's able to pull something together here in the Renault. Moving up through the very technical Sector 2.
Well, both Samus and Falcon have set their final run. Very, very close between those two. As Henry is also retired from the session, so he'll be happy with his 108.6. Currently in 4th position. Yeah, Samus and Falcon into the 108.2s.
Hawning now. He jumps ahead of Skybits. Now all drivers are below the 110 mark. He is set at 109.6. Zamaggio starting a flying lap to finish out the session now, looking to improve on his 108 flat. One thing that is very important to note, that when you retire from session, we advise you to do so in the pit lane, so that for whatever reason your AI controlled car when entering retirement does not affect the lap of any other racing drivers. And one thing to note is that should it in fact affect another racing driver's hot lap or otherwise, you could face a penalty. Zamaggio now rounding the final big turn here, heading up the hill. He did set a purple Sector 2 as he makes his way down the hill through the DRS zone now in that Ferrari, hugging that inside very, very, very tight. And he's into the 107s, Mikhail, with a 107.9.
Very, very fast lap. But with the 20 seconds remaining in the session, all drivers out on track, ready to set their final runs.
Zamaggio retiring out of the session there. His car, I don't know if it was close enough to the turn to really affect Jean's lap there.
So the checkered flag has dropped. Be
We're
the
on board
first
with
across
Jean.
the line would be Jean. So let's see how he goes through sector 2. He's half a tenth down on his time. DRS open up to the start finish line. He backs out of it at the last second. So next up will be BTFU. Looking at inside.
Does not
And he
improve.
doesn't improve either.
Yoda, however, does, and he moves up into P4 with a 108.567.
And Little Bear moves up to P11, the
So
108.970.
Rackety now the last driver to cross the line here, and he enters the pits, and that will be the end of our short qualifying. So it's Zamajo on pole position, Falcon in second, Samus in third, Yoda in fourth, Henry in fifth, Jean starts sixth, Fubar seventh, Vettel in eighth, BTFU in ninth, Tupaka in 10th, rounding off the top 10. Little Bear, his teammate, right behind him, though, in 11th. Sneaky 12th. Custom in 13th. Rackety 14th. Neon Rays 15th. Astrodate, our reserve driver today, in 16th. Jasco in 17th. Undertaker was 18th. And I do believe that was Hawning in 19th with Skybits at the back of the grid in 20th. So, what are you thinking about this grid, Mikael? We've seen some super close gaps throughout the timings here in quali, as you can see
I
on screen.
think that just says it all, really. You know, 1/10 could mean the difference between you know, starting fourth and starting seventh. You know?
Definitely looking forward to this. As we got word earlier, it is going to be a dry race in Brazil the whole way through. So not too many curveballs going to be thrown at these drivers in the weather sense. However, one thing to note as we move into the race, safety cars can always play a very tricky role to the way your race goes. And with that being said, if a safety car for whatever reason is deployed and you are joining us and racing right now, take very careful precautions under safety car conditions, but don't endanger the drivers around you.
Yeah, it's the last thing you want, to get a very harsh penalty under the gauntlet that is the safety car. But it is there for a reason. So as these drivers finalize their strategies and their setups and fuel loads and whatnot, who would you say is a dark horse to watch out for, Striff?
Well, it's a very fantastic question, as we have almost all of our full-time drivers on the grid right now. We have 19 out of 20 of our full-time drivers racing today. I'm going to go for the underdog in that sense. So Astrodite. I think we're going to see Astrodite have a great finish here as we get set for the warm-up lap. He has shown great speed from last week as well through our recent March Madness event. He was looking very good here. He's currently in 16th on the grid. So I'd like to see him jump up into some solid points positions, maybe even a podium here, depending on how race conditions go. As you can see, Zamajo leading the charge out there, very far out ahead of Falcon behind him. As much as I'd like to see Astrodate in the points, I'd also like to see Falcon come in with a solid finish as well, as he has not had the best of luck throughout the season here so far.
My pick would definitely have to be the head honcho, Samus. He's shown incredible pace, especially in qualifying, but he's just, I don't know what it is. Just can't seem to convert it in the race, but hopefully today will change his fortunes. And he can convert this into a solid points haul for the Alfa Romeo team.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if he was able to get a front of the grid position finish here with Undertaker, hopefully making up some positions with those mediums you can see he's starting the race on there. Sneaky and Jasco joining him with the mediums as well here once we get things underway.
So it looks like both Red Bulls are going to try and go long into the race. So they'll have to stay out of trouble if they're going to make that strategy work. Zamajo is 8 seconds ahead of Falcon on the formation lap.
That is not
Just
good
can't
for
hold
the
him
race
back.
leader, as he is
Just
going to
can't hold
come
him
in.
back.
Hopefully his tires don't sit too long without some action.
Also looked like Skybits had a bit of a moment.
If you are just tuning in,
Now.
welcome and thank you for joining us. We are about to see the race start of MRL Season 2, round number 7, the Brazilian Grand Prix. My name is Strifium, and with me, of course, Mikal. Feel free to follow the stream, guys. And we do this every Thursday. With next week, we will have our first off week of the season, and you can hear those engines fired up and away. We are going to be going here in just a few moments as we have 3, 4, 5 red lights. And these drivers are off and racing here in Sao Paulo.
Like Falcon's got a really, really good start down at turn 1 and has taken the lead of the race. So Zamajo's cold tires not doing him well.
So far, everybody relatively clean through the first 2 turns here. Out of the Senna S we go now. Falcon out in front of our pole position race leader, Zamajo. So now he has dropped back. Samus still in third there. Henry is up into 4th position here. Yoda behind him in 5th has dropped back a place. John, his teammate, right behind him. Vettel and Fubar very, very close there. Tupaka, Rackety in 10th. Little Bear in 11th.
Oh, the 2 McLarens getting a very close for comfort there.
As we had a beautiful shot there of that nice round turn coming down the hill. Up the hill we go now. Falcon leading the charge. Zamajo behind him. We'll see if Zamajo is able to make something happen here. He has things slammed into overtake, and he's gaining in the slipstream of that Renault. Samus and Henry behind them.
So after lap 1, Falcon is your race leader, closely followed by Zamajo, Samus, Henry, Yoda, Jean, Vettel and Fubart going wheel to wheel through the center S. Vettel getting the better back exchange. So Vettel in 7th, Fubart in 8th, Tupac in 9th, and Rackety rounds out your top 10.
Very clean racing from everybody here so far. I don't believe we've had any penalties as far as collisions go, so I'm very happy to see that. Sneaky currently running 13th on those mediums, looking to catch up with the rest of the grid. It's going to be some time before we see the rocket pace we can out of that Red Bull on those tires, but his tires will eventually exceed the pace of the soft runners ahead of him. Very close to the rear of that racing point. He's looking to get on with it and hopefully make up some track position here. Zamajo, our pole sitter, still gaining on the rear of Falcon, who made a nice move to slip into the race lead here. DRS is going to be enabled as we start lap 3, so Falcon is going to be under a very serious threat from the Ferrari. We'll tag along with them as Zamajo sets the fastest lap of the race so far, 1:11.5.
Oh, Rackety getting a bit in the grass.
Zamajo with the DRS now coming down into turn 3.
Yeah, it looks like he's just going to stick behind him just for a little bit.
Rackety
Meanwhile,
and Custom.
back.
Rackety's dropped back to Custom. Custom looks like he's gotten that move done in the Mercedes as we make our way up the hill. We'll see if Rackety's able to slip on the inside coming into this sharp right-hander. It doesn't look like he's going to make anything work there.
You know, BTFU gets the move done on Neon Rays for 14th.
Skybits has just taken a lead over Honning in the Renault, who seems to be struggling. We'll jump back up to the middle of the grid, though, as that's Vettel catching up with Fubar. And Zamajo now with the DRS on the rear of Falcon. He is going to make a move down the inside. Here we go, down the pit straight into turn 1. Falcon drops back just a bit. He gets on the brakes. Zamajo clearly out in front here of that Renault, but Falcon hopefully able to make a move and a switchback down into this next turn with the DRS. Gaining on that Ferrari. Looks like he had a little bit of a tap with the rear there of that Ferrari, and he just cuts so close to Zamajo there and gets out in front. Falcon with a very interesting move on the Ferrari. to regain that race leadership position. Of course, Zamajo in second position now, going to be looking to regain control of this race as he was very dominant with a 3:10 lead in the qualifying.
Meanwhile, the back end of the midfield, it's still very, very close between all these drivers, as Honing has retired. It's like he's crashed in the pit lane or something. I don't know.
So Honing out of this race here. I'm sure not the performance he wanted to have. Falcon still leading the race. Zamajo with the DRS. Is he going to get a good run down into the turn 1 here? Out. We are now starting lap 5. Looks like Zamajo has decided against going for a move there. Falcon still out in front. Zamajo going to have the DRS once again, though, entering sector 1 here.
Well, all this fighting has brought Samus right back into the fray.
And there goes Falcon moving to the inside. The retired vehicle of Honing on circuit actually completely impeding the overtake opportunity of the Ferrari driver. So Zamajo now more than likely going to have to wait until the last sector of this circuit to make another move on the Renault driver.
We have a safety car.
And we have a safety car out on circuit from Jasko, who has appeared to have crashed just coming outside of the Senna S.
Yeah, it was a very, very hard collision, but will we see these drivers pit?
Very early safety car here. A very long race, of course. 36 laps is the duration.
Tire wear isn't a huge issue here. We're going to see if some of the leaders do decide to pit. Looks like all 3 of them decide to. Henry follows them in. Jean decides against it, as does Fubar, but we're seeing a lot of activity in the pit lane.
We'll see if there's any shuffle of positions here as these drivers exit from who went into the pits. As you can see, Falcon still out in front of Zamajo there. Henry behind Zamajo. Yoda.
Samus got really held up.
Not too sure what happened with Samus in the pits. He's coming out in 11th position at the moment. As you can see, from positions 5 to the lead of this race, they have decided to stay out on their tires. Sneaky and Undertaker, I must say that makes sense considering they started this campaign on the mediums. And there is always opportunities for them, as we could see another safety car here through the race. I was not expecting to see 2 drivers out of the running this early.
It can be a very technical circuit, especially through the center S. If you get that wrong, and get your tires onto the curbing too much, you put too much faith in the ripple strip, and that can send you around.
Undertaker, the last of the drivers on the grid right now to pit here, currently sitting in P5. Hopefully he's able to make up some positions on the drivers ahead before he does eventually come in.
It'll be interesting to see how Falcon and Zamajo make their way through the traffic ahead.
Of course, Sneaky doing a very good job to stay behind Tupaka, and Tupaka ahead of him, Fubar, and Fubar, Jean. Hopefully everything's clean here throughout this safety car.
Should be coming in at the end of this lap as Skybits has just joined on the back of the queue. So hopefully we'll be green flag racing very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, between these 5 drivers at the front right now, Jean through Undertaker, you see Sneaky and Undertaker on those mediums there. With this safety car situation, how much do you think not pitting off will pay off for them?
It's definitely a risk. You know, everyone behind you has basically gotten a free pit stop. except for Little Bear, who's gone onto the softs. Am I saying that correctly? 14th?
I do believe he is on the softs. We'll jump on over to him, take a look at what he's rolling with on his car, and you can see the red outline on the rubber. He is most definitely on the soft tires, so very interesting strategy choice from him as he's looking to go quite quick when we see this restart happen. No word from the safety car.
This lap.
It is?
It's in this lap.
Very good.
Yep,
I missed
and
that.
John leads him away. And we are racing again in Sao Paulo.
On board with
Undertaker
Fubar.
goes very, very deep.
That's Falcon and Zamajo taking up a position from Undertaker. That's Undertaker has dropped back into 8th position from 5th here after the restart. Zamajo, Henry, and Falcon all getting the better of him. Sneaky currently very close to the rear of Tupaka. Fubar gaining on John. Tupaka looks inside of Fubar and thinks better of it here.
Yoda and Undertaker side by side into Sector 2. Through the long left. Those mediums on that Alfa Romeo still giving him the grip he needs to keep the McLaren at bay. As you can see from the timing screen, they've already lost a second, and there's contact. Yoda has spun Undertaker around into the grass.
Not good at all for the Alfa Romeo driver here. Yoda flying down now, has moved into 8th position. Custom behind him. That's Falcon wheel to wheel with Sneaky down through turn 1. Sneaky on the inside of that one. Falcon getting the better of him. A beautiful overtake from the Renault driver, and that's Zamajo towering down on the rear of that Red Bull, making a move down the inside. Very late on the brakes is the Ferrari driver. Sneaky getting a little bit of that back left or back right wheel, excuse me, of the Ferrari on the exit, but Zamajo and Falcon making a very smooth move up into 4th and 5th. Sneaky drops back into 6th now. Henry's looking to hopefully catch up with the Red Bull as well. One thing to note, Henry and Yoda, as well as Vettel, Neon Rays and Rackety all on those hard compounds. Very interesting to see. As you can see, Henry dropping back behind Sneaky just a tad bit. Sneaky hopefully able to stay within DRS range of these drivers ahead of him, moving through into lap 10 as it will be re-enabled. Tupaka currently dropping back behind our race leaders Fubar and John. As you can see, race control telling us that the DRS is enabled. Fubar with a move up the inside of turn 1. He gets it done on the McLaren. The McLaren of Jean now going to have the DRS moving down through sector 1. Or are we going to see a switchback? So Fubar completely exhausted Jean with the DRS. Wheel to wheel. Fubar goes wide. He's on the grass a little bit there. Jean on the inside there taking extra precautions to not lose out on this one. He is going to stay behind Fubar for the time being, but as you can see, Fubar is running things very hot in that engine. Not much battery on his system. Tupaka has caught up as well with all of this battling, and Falcon is very, very close, looking to regain the leadership of this race. On board with Falcon now, moving up through sector 3. DRS is enabled. He is going to have a good run here on those fresh mediums. Down into turn 1, we'll see what he's able to come up with. DRS will rear wing wide open now, moving down the back straight, or sorry, the main straight down into turn 1. Tupaka and John with the DRS as well. Falcon looks inside, a little bit of a wheel tap there. He's spun Tupaka around down through turn 1. He goes wide. Zamajo now around the inside here. Wheel-to-wheel action in Brazil. This is crazy racing that we're seeing. Zamajo into 3rd position. Now looks to catch up with John and Fubar. Sneaky also very close to all of this happening. What a battle happening for leadership of this race. Everybody wants a taste of that podium, Mikal.
As they do, yes. But just looking down a bit further on the grid, we're seeing lots of tight battles. especially between Rackety and Vettel. Oof. Getting very, very close in Sector 2. Rackety sandwiched in by both Haas's at the moment. You have a yellow flag, and I believe that's Fubar. He's had a bit of an off at the last corner, and there is a virtual safety car.
So VSC deployed here. You can see Fubar is currently missing his entire front wing on that Mercedes. We'll see if we can get a better shot of it as we come up the hill. All the drivers now having to slow down their race pace. Fubar definitely coming into the pits here. As you can see, that entire front aero system is missing. Jean into the pits as well. It looks like him and Fubar may have both been tangled there, as it looks like he may have just served a drive-through penalty. So my apologies if I missed the prompt for that penalty. Mikau, do you know what's going on there?
Well, with Jean.
Yeah.
He's pitted for fresh hards.
Okay, so
he
did
didn't have a
get in
drive-through
on...
penalty.
Okay, so I was
But
mistaken.
Sneaky does. Sneaky will need to serve a drive-through for speeding under the virtual safety car.
Very unfortunate, as I do believe we are greenlit and back to regular race pace. Falcon.
And Henry all over the back of this Red Bull. Doesn't quite get the traction out of the last corner, but he has it up and overtake. It doesn't look like he'll be close enough to make.
Rackety, though, going up the inside of Vettel into turn 1. Very nice move from the Ferrari driver there. Vettel on those 7-lap old hards, equal with Rackety's tires as well. Rackety now looking to move up ahead, hopefully catch up to the Williams of Neon Rays.
So the only drivers that need to make a pit stop, I believe, are Fubar, Undertaker, and Sneaky. Everyone else can go to the end on the tires they have, so hopefully we'll see some very close wheel-to-wheel action. So yellow flag sector 2. Fubar has retired.
So Fubar,
and we have another safety car
out of this race, as it looks like Tupaka. You can see Fubar's car there. It looks like he's had some serious suspension problems, as he may have gone into the wall before going up the hill here in sector 2, as he may have been pushing those softs too hard on pit exit. Maybe lost some traction through the turn there. Unfortunately, we were not on board with him to find out what precisely happened. So we have another safety car here. Lap 14 out of 36 is the status of this race. Now, a lot of drivers into the pits here. Sneaky into the pits. BTFU, Neon Rays, Rackety, Samus is going to move up on those 2-lap old hards into 10th, maybe even further than that, as we see him jumping up the positions. BTFU gets out just ahead of Samus, but everybody's going to get backed right up, and this could work very well in Samus's favor here, as he is on fresh hards, 2 laps old. Would have been great to see him on some mediums right now ahead of this restart, but I don't know if he'll have a set.
No, it's definitely, you want to be staying out on those hards.
And
like,
Neon
no
Rays
really
has retired as well here. Under safety car conditions, he's gone into the wall. I'd say about 300 meters away from where we saw Fubar and his car. So, not too sure what's going on the entry of Sector 2 there, but it seems to be catching a couple of our drivers out here.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
So, lap 15, safety car. Still out here. Remember, everybody, if you are enjoying the race, be sure to support MRL with a follow on stream.
Hits again.
So he goes into the pits here thinking maybe he can serve that drive-through penalty.
Must be what he was thinking, but doesn't work like that.
Yeah, so definitely unable to serve a drive-through penalty through the safety car conditions. Of course, you need to wait for green flag racing in order to do so. So he is now just pitted once again. And this is most definitely going to impact his race, as pretty well everybody up and down the grid has obtained a full free pit stop at one point or another. And he has just basically thrown away his current position on the grid now, as he almost jumps ahead of Undertaker there.
So everyone has made it to the back of the queue. Should see the safety car come in this lap. So at the end of lap 15, your current top 10, Zamajo, leading the race as the safety car will come in this lap. Falcon, strong showing so far in second, giving Zamajo a run for his money, most definitely. Henry in third, Yoda fourth, Custom with a very solid place right now in fifth, Jean in sixth, BTFU in seventh, Samus in eighth, Little Bear ninth, and Rackety 10th, but we are racing once again, ladies and gentlemen. So Zamajo defends the inside through the center S. And Rackety gets a move done, and Little Bear always has contacts. Contact through the center S, left a little bit down and out. So he'll be looking to gain some positions back, but
don't look now, but Henry on those hard tires looking very fast here out of this restart, as he is very close to the rear of the Renault Falcon, who's fighting for the race lead at the moment.
Zamajo's starting to pull a bit of the gap already, but it's not too much. So hopefully we can see Falcon and the rest of the pack close up. It's very, very, very tight in the lower points positions. Custom desperately trying to hold on to that sixth place. He has lost out to Jean already since the safety car restart.
BZFU looking inside of Custom here. He does make the move. Custom braking and then extending just a little bit there. Did not pay off for him, as I believe he went wide. Rackety, Samus, and BTFU all moving up ahead of Custom. BTFU getting the best of that move up into sixth, as Jean in fifth on those 5-lap old hards is now the next target of the Toro Rosso BTFU. John doing a good job of sticking with his teammate Yoda. Yoda trying to catch up to the Williams of Henry.
Gaps do seem to be extending a fair bit, but Rackety is very, very close to the tail of that Alfa Romeo. They finish sector 2 now.
Key thing on that Ferrari versus Alfa Romeo battle. You can see Samus on those 5-lap old hard tires. Rackety on the fresh mediums. Zamajo crossing the line now with the mediums, a 1:11.1. Fastest lap of the session.
Oh, Rackety picking up a 3-second time penalty for cutting the center S.
Undertaker into the pits.
Must have had damage or something.
Sneaky into 15th position now. I do believe he did serve his drive-through penalty here, as he is still racing. Rackety doing everything he can to stay within range of that Alfa Romeo. That is Samus.
Samus trying to stay in the DRS of the Toro Rosso ahead.
Gonna jump on board now with Yoda, as he is gonna have DRS on the Williams Henry moving down through this section.
Into the long main straight. Straight, not straight. DRS open. He's gaining, but he's not gaining enough. He's bringing the whole train with him.
As you can see, all of those cars just funneling out of turn 1 down into the Senna S now. Yoda currently leading the train with Rackety, that big bright red caboose at the back.
Henry seems to definitely be struggling keeping up with the front two. Of course, he is on the harder compound, but he's really getting pressure from 2 McLarens behind.
Yep. And of course, positions 4 through 7 all on those hard compound tires, with Rackety at the back of the train on those much fresher mediums.
Hopefully he can use the extra grip to his advantage and get a good run on firstly Samus, but we'll see how far he can get up the train.
Yoda now.
As it's in full swing. Yoda looking for a move. He backs out of it. Decides to fight another day. Gets a decent exit out of the center S. Skybits with the 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. And Henry just a bit too far for the McLaren driver to get past.
Same age tires between Henry and Yoda here. So hopefully both drivers have done a decent job of conserving the wear.
I hope that's the case as well. He's got a very, very angry pack behind him. As does Custom down in 9th position. Both Aphrodite and Vettel very, very close behind.
I think we're going to see a move here, Mikau, as Yoda now with the DRS says we're going to move down into turn 1. Let's see if he sends it down the inside. Does not have enough of a run down into the turn here, but he will have DRS once again in just a few moments as we move out through the
BTF
exit.
right behind them. That's a good run on Jean as Jean cuts the center S, earning himself a 3-second time penalty. Round the outside goes the Toro Rosso.
Ooh, BTFU very wide there. Comes back strong though. He's still out in front of that McLaren. Look at them. Their wings are absolutely side by side moving up the hill.
And they're still going wheel to wheel. Ooh,
A little bit of a touch there. And look at Samus. Samus is trying to be really cheeky here, making a move there. Would have been very nice to see that.
Something that these two drivers have to keep in mind, that Samus and Rackety ready to pounce at any opportunity they present them.
As Yoda has dropped back behind Henry a little bit. Jean a second behind his teammate, BTFU, putting him under serious pressure here. Look at this beautiful aerial shot. That's BTFU up the inside of Jean, down into turn 1. Look at that clean racing right there, ladies and gentlemen. Jean taking that inside curbing, but BTFU with so much traction. What a good exit, and Samus is right there with him. Jean not going to be happy about that in the McLaren.
He backs out of it. So Jean moving all the way down to 7th position as Skybits retires in the pit lane. So that is his race over.
So, started the race, of course, with 20 drivers on the grid, a full race start, and 5 of them, unfortunately, unable to finish the campaign here. Jean now in 7th. Rackety moving up the inside. A little bit of a touch there between the two drivers. Rackety with a decent exit out of that turn regardless, though. Our wheel-to-wheel with Jean through this turn here.
Ooh, Jean. Very late on the brakes.
Very late on the brakes there. Taking a lot of grass through that turn. Rackety now up into 7th position. Looking like he got that move done for the time being. Samus dropping back behind BTFU a bit. on the 2-lap older compound tires.
Oh no, Falcon.
Falcon, unfortunately, has had a crash of his PC, it would seem, or his game client, and is now back to AI mode. Henry, with everything to gain here, Yoda right behind him as well. Hopefully he's able to get things sorted back out with an invite to the lobby and can get back into the driver's seat of that Renault. Zamajo out with a 4-second lead at the moment in the Ferrari.
Meanwhile, further back down the field, Aphrodite in Custom and Vettel very, very close together as they head through Sector 2. Battle
Vettel
for ninth place certainly heating up.
Vettel currently missing a front left end plate on that Haas at the moment. Not sure what happened to him there. Doesn't seem to be struggling too much to keep up with these drivers ahead of him. DRS, I'm sure, helping him a little bit, as he'll definitely be losing some pace with that damage. DRS now for Vettel moving down through the pit straight. Aphrodite ahead of him. Tupaka behind. Vettel and Tupaka trading places now. Tupaka gets the better of Vettel with the hard compound tires. Tupaka.
Henry makes the move on the AI Falcon, so he puts himself up into second place.
Hopefully everything okay with Falcon. Hopefully he can get back into his seat and finish out this race on the podium, because he's not going to have too much time here as Yoda bearing down on him in that McLaren, fighting for that podium position. Of course, Yoda being very patient with this AI-controlled car at the moment, as of course we all know. The AI car can change your race in an instant. BTFU catching up as a result of this. Falcon has this massive train going as all of these drivers trying to be super cautious to overtake Yoda there, almost getting into a collision. There's a bit of a lag from BTFU. He goes into the wall. I do believe he took some front left damage on his car there. He's missing his front left end plate. And Yoda and Samus now fighting through turn 1 here. Samus ahead of BTFU there is going to have the DRS on the McLaren driver heading through this first DRS zone, exiting that Senna S. Samus ahead of Yoda in that Alfa Romeo on the 13-lap old hard tires. Yoda definitely feeling the wear at the moment, given those 19-lap old tires, as Samus now having a very smooth operation here in Brazil, moving up into third position.
I believe Falcon's AI pitted him for fresh softs.
Ooh, Falcon, if he is able to get back into his car, is not going to be happy about that. And as I am hearing from race control now, Skybits did in fact retire from this race as a result of Jeff putting him on intermediate compound tires. Very unfortunate for the Haas driver.
Marco's starting to stretch his legs a bit, setting a new fastest lap into the 110s.
Rackety 11-lap old mediums versus 12-lap old mediums versus the 12-lap old hards. He is now gaining on the Toro Rosso that is BTFU, as BTFU working his way to stick with Yoda and Samus. Keep in mind, BTFU is going to be feeling a drop in performance as a result of that front left wing damage. And not happy about that is he, as I'm sure. Rackety looking very quick in that Ferrari against BTFU.
Rackety very, very close to the back of that Toro Rosso. Currently in 5th and 6th, respectively. John not far behind them.
Custom went into the pits for fresh softs as well here. 10 laps remaining.
Meanwhile, Henry has pulled the DRS gap. Currently 1.4 back to Samus from second. Samus the one with it all to do. Let's see how he fends off the angry pack behind for the last 10 laps.
Rackety looking inside of BTFU. They're not quite close enough to make a move, but he is very close now with DRS on the Toro Rosso driver. They are going to be going wheel to wheel here. And that's John behind them. As Rackety's made it clear ahead of that Toro Rosso, John will be looking to do the same. Undertaker taking a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane as he went in to change off those 13-lap-old hards. Undertaker having gone from mediums to hards, now to softs here in this race. John on the 15-lap-old hards. We'll see if he has enough pace in that McLaren in order to catch up the damaged BTFU ahead of him on the 2-lap newer tire. Samus now doing a good job of getting back into the DRS of Henry. We'll jump on board with him to see how much of a gap he can tighten up here heading down into turn 1. Gains about 3/10 here.
Yoda very close behind him. And Rackety's past BTF. As BTF gets a 3-second time penalty for exceeding track limits.
BTFU not going to be happy about the wing damage he's suffering from right now, as he is struggling to keep up with Rackety. You can see there, he is still under a second, but not quite enough. Jean making a move up the inside, moving up the hill here. Is he going to be able to make it stick? No, he drops back there. He was in line with the rear wheels of the Toro Rosso. Now he's coming around the outside.
BTF shuts the door.
BTFU doing a very good job defending here against this McLaren. As you can see, Rackety now a second ahead of BTFU. BTFU going to be struggling without DRS here, as Jean will most definitely have it. As we cross the DRS detection zone, I don't believe BTFU is going to be able to open that rear wing. It's going to be Jean around the outside, rear wing wide open now, heading down this pit straight. Looks like we had a little bit of a shove or a tap there of wheels between the two drivers. But it is Jean, of course, very far out in front of that Toro Rosso. Down through the Senna S now we go. Tupaka making a run on Aphrodite. DRS is now off as we move into Sector 2. We'll see if he's able to maintain a decent gap here, hopefully strike at the end of this lap. As we'll go on board for this fight for P8.
I'm just keeping a close eye on the fight for second at the moment. It does look like Henry is struggling on those old hards. It's definitely helping Samus and Yoda stay with him.
That's Tupaka now going to be pushing up the hill here to try and stay within the DRS of Aphrodite. Hopefully get a good run down through into turn 1. Samus still very close to the rear of Henry here through the Senna S. And that's Falcons, who I don't know if he's back or not, but he's just overtaken Sneaky heading down the main straight, and he's into 10th position here on the softs.
I do believe he is back. This is very good to see.
Back on with Samus here as he makes his way up the hill behind Henry, now within less than half a second of the Williams. As Vettel makes a move on Little Bear. Vettel, of course, on those softs. Little Bear on the very, very dated 18-lap-old hards.
Samus had a bit of a moment. Heading into the penultimate corner.
Ooh.
Oh, and he's gone on the grass!
Now, was that a tap from Rackety, or was that Samus unfortunately losing control of the car on exit there? We will have to wait and see.
Oversteer. Just got a snap of oversteer, and he had to catch the rear.
It's not too far gone for him, though. Yeah, for sure, as he is going to hopefully get into the DRS of Yoda here. Unfortunately,
that has definitely relieved the pressure from Henry.
Most
But
definitely.
Yoda now the new threat to the Williams driver.
Well, we saw Yoda and Henry battling earlier, I'd say about 10 laps ago on these hard compound tires. And we really didn't see too much out of Yoda in the rear of that Williams on the equal tires. So I don't know how these drivers are feeling on these hards right now, but hopefully he's able to make up a little bit of time to get away from Samus here with the DRS, opening a bit of a gap between him and Samus behind. But Samus on those lot newer, I wouldn't say newer, but of course the 19 laps versus the 25 laps, we could see a good burst of speed through those tires coming in these last few laps here, as we are now crossing the line for Yoda and Henry into lap 32. Zamajo 13.9 seconds ahead, leading this race, as he has just overtaken, I do believe, Little Bear, as Little Bear becomes the first driver to become lapped in this campaign.
Falcon setting a new fastest lap of 110.1.
Falcon back with a vengeance on those soft tires, as we saw his car crash out from session, and I do believe Rackety has now had a client crash as well, so hopefully he's able to get back in here to finish with a decent position for Ferrari, as he's beginning to drop back behind John. Falcon into the points still in 10th, but of course he was running much further up the grid in the lead of this race earlier on. Just goes to show how much can change over the course of even a 50% distance Formula One race.
Yoda's slowly but surely closing the gap to Henry.
And with
Won't
the
be
closure
close
of
enough
that
on this
gap,
lap.
Samus has dropped back quite a decent amount here.
Maybe his tires just don't have anything left to give. Definitely getting to that stage now where your care for the tires during the race is definitely going to pay off.
Speaking of late stage developments, how are the penalties looking for some of these lead drivers right now?
I don't believe any of them have anything really. Just having a quick look through top 5 or so, and I believe the only one in the top 5 is Jean, with quite a few actually. Like 9 seconds. But meanwhile, Astrodite and Rackety going wheel to wheel into sector 2. Astrodite having a bit of a slip. His teammate BCFU right behind him.
Both drivers possibly struggling to pass the AI-controlled car of Rackety. Hopefully Rackety able to get back into the session. BTFU round the outside.
Goes
Now
down the
moving
inside
up
of
the
his
inside
teammate.
of Astrodite there with the wing damage.
And he makes it
Astrodite,
stick.
and he does have the DRS ahead of his teammate as well, moving down into this next turn. Of course, we can see he's still on those 20 lap hold hards. He has not pitted to change over that front wing at all here since we saw him last with that front left end plate missing.
Meanwhile, Yoda has gotten past Henry, presumably in the second DRS zone. So Henry's going to be looking to try and get back at the McLaren. As we're on the penultimate lap of this Brazilian Grand Prix. Custom picking up a 3-second time penalty. So that's not going to help his cause.
One thing to
Henry
note is
is
the
gaining.
batteries of these two drivers fighting for second right now. Henry, a little more battery, sorry, a little less battery than Yoda. But he is going to have
Samus
DRS
picking up a
here.
3-second time penalty.
Henry with a move. He gets it down the outside. Yoda falls behind him. Both of these drivers being very patient here, picking their battles very carefully. There's only 2 laps remaining, as these drivers are on the second final lap of this campaign. fighting for serious points. Yoda looking to have a good repeat performance following his win last week in Russia.
That he is, but he still has to get past that Williams. Samajo is about to start the final lap of the race. 16.3 seconds ahead. Let's see how well Henry can defend this second place. Which would be a career best for him, I do believe.
If you're Yoda right now, what level of a risk are you willing to take to get ahead of this Williams right now? Do you go all in, or do you try to maintain that
Well,
third
looks
position?
like he's going all in down the
Holy
outside.
cow, look at the
of
speed that
turn
he
4.
carried there with that DRS.
Henry's trying to fight back. They're side by side up the hill. Looks like Yoda has just gotten out ahead. And holds the position.
DRS, though, down that back straight, going to play a big role here. If Henry's able to stay super tight to the rear of that McLaren, he may just escape with a fraction of a time ahead of Yoda.
Definitely has to get a really good exit out of this last corner, as Samajo is your race winner of the Brazilian Grand Prix. Looks like Henry just doesn't have enough left to fight with. The DRS is going to open, but Yoda is pulling away. So Yoda will come across the line in second. Henry will round off the podium places, and Samus will finish in fourth. It looks like Jean has had a bit of a spin on the main straight. The two Toro Rossos make their way out to 5th and 6th. As Falcon has retired on the last straight. Meanwhile, Sneaking Custom side by side. Looks like Sneaky will get the best of that on penalties. And Undertaker will come across the line in 13th.
Barring any major penalties. And he jumps in and finishes 13th. So, what a race we've had here in Brazil. It definitely didn't disappoint at all. Tons of fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing.
Congratulations to our podium finishers today. That bright red suit, no stranger to that top step of the podium, as Samajo takes yet another race win in MRL Season 2. Yoda claiming that second position, and Henry getting his first podium, I believe, of the league. So
yeah,
congratulations to him as well. Fantastic drive. Just couldn't hold on to that second place in the end.
Still a great finish for him, though. I mean, of course, Samajo with the race win. He started here on pole position. He finishes first. Yoda in second. Henry in third. Very nice from all of our podium finishers. As you can see, Henry starting in 5th there with Yoda just ahead of him in 4th. Both doing a good job of getting where they wanted to go. Samus, I don't know what held him up in the pits earlier, but something pushed him back up the grid. So he finishes 4th, having started in 3rd here. Astrodite in 5th, and BTFU starting in 9th. He finishes 6th, so a bit of an improvement from him. And
what a drive from Astrodite.
It was a great drive from Astrodite as well, doing a very good job. And that is going to conclude our round 7 Brazilian Grand Prix here for MRL. But before we go, of course, Mikhail, what are some key moments that you enjoy the most about that race? Anything that stands out to you?
Oh, definitely how the two safety cars shook up the grid. And yeah, definitely the battles that we saw both at the top end of the midfield and the lower end of the midfield as well. Specifically, one that comes to mind is that custom train with, I believe that was Astrodite and Vettel. I might be wrong about that one though. And of course, the battle up front for the podium positions,
Yeah, for
especially with
sure.
Samus and Henry and Yoda and Rackety getting in that fight as well, which is really good to see.
Yeah, most definitely. I really enjoyed watching the wheel-to-wheel action in that DRS train. Rackety at the back, Henry and Yoda fighting at the front of it, and then everybody looking for positions there. We saw some fantastic overtaking from Samus and I believe BTFU there as well. And just a lot of really fun wheel-to-wheel racing action here. So next week, guys, just to update you all, so as you can see the calendar up on your screen right now, our next round of racing for MRL is going to be in Germany. However, we will not see the German race next week because we will be taking an Easter break because it will be Easter not next Monday, but on the 13th, I do believe, of April will be Easter Monday. So we will be back here racing on the MRL page on the 16th of April for the German Grand Prix, round number 8. Another fun thing to talk about real fast is on the 18th of April, so the Saturday following our German Grand Prix, we are going to be having a special event against the drivers from DMR. So, an MRL versus DMR one-off event, and who knows, maybe it goes well and we can share some drivers for league racing or something like that. But definitely looking forward to that. That is going to be happening at 3 o'clock Central, I do believe. But more information to come out about that over the next week. So if you're interested in tuning in to that race, it will be raced and hosted here on the Misfits Racing League channel. So feel free to hit us up with a follow if you don't want to miss that action. I do believe Mikau, you might be racing in that event if I'm not mistaken.
That certainly is the goal. Might have to put a few more laps in, but we'll see how we go.
Yeah, Mikau definitely out of practice. He didn't win a race over the weekend or anything.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
But definitely a lot of fun happening here on MRL, and of course, thank you to everybody who's joined us in stream. I believe that's going to wrap things up for Mikau and I for today. Of course, if you guys missed the beginning action here of the race, you can find it on our YouTube channel, which is linked down below. And thank you to everybody who followed us and joined us for the broadcast. If you're interested in racing in MRL or joining a great Discord community, you can hit up the Misfits Discord. All players are welcome to join us there. To wrap things up, we are going to head on over and raid our founder and MRL driver, Mr. Samus2177, who is streaming some open lobby action. So if you were looking to jump into some racing with some of or all of the drivers you saw on the grid today, feel free to head on over there, add him on Steam, and jump into some open lobby racing action. I'm sure he's going to be doing some 5-lappers. And any last things that... oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead, Mikhail.
You might even see some of your commentators racing there.
Yeah, you might even see me or Mikhail causing some mayhem or something like that. But anything else you wanted to add there, Mikhail, before we sign off?
No, I do believe that is everything. Of course, want to wish everyone a safe and happy Easter.
For sure.
Get those Easter egg hunts raring to go.
We're going to start this raid queue to head on over to Samus's stream. So if you are joining us in the stream and feel like watching some fantastic racing, be sure to hit that raid button. And we'll head on over there now. Thanks everybody for watching. And see you in 2 weeks.